let's talk about Jedediah John Don Vance. Okay, a historically bad pick.
He does worse in his home region at minus 16 points than he does in the average of all polls, which is a minus 5-point net favorability rating. So the people who know him best, the region that knows him best, they like him even less than America likes him. And of course, as you pointed out, again, in that kind intro, is he is historically unpopular for a VP nominee coming out of his first convention as the VP nominee.
All right, so let's specifically look at some former Republican presidential candidates. What do you see?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Sarah Palin. How about Dan Quayle as well? These are two folks who I think most people remember as not being particularly popular. The amazing thing was coming out of their conventions, they actually were pretty popular. Quayle with a plus 15-point net favorability rating. Sarah Palin with a plus 26-point net favorability rating. Again, Vance at minus 5 points is just off the charts and falling off the chart in the wrong direction. Not up above the chart, but down below the chart.
I mean, this is what happens when you go for a guy who is a, so far, one-term senator in Ohio, who literally won his senatorial seat with a smaller margin than you did, as in he's less popular than you in this already red state. That is insane that you did this. Like, it just makes no sense.
Are you a racist?
How could you not want this guy as your VP? This is what he ran on.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans, with more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country. This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border. No child should grow up an orphan. I'm JD Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America.
I love this on so many fronts because, like, he wasn't even orphaned. He's acting like his mother died. Like, no, she didn't die actually. And also, she didn't get the fentanyl from undocumented migrants. Undocumented migrants play no role whatsoever on the trafficking of fentanyl, according to the Department of Homeland Security numbers. 90% of the drugs apprehended over the border are coming in through regular points of entry, and 91% of those apprehensions are conducted on American citizens. That's right. Like actual card-carrying American citizens, not undocumented migrants at all. Having said that, great campaign ad. I don't know how that guy underperformed the fucking Republican governor by 20 goddamn points. But also, here's John Don talking to fucking Megyn Kelly about the childless cat ladies remark. I got to pee
Joe
again.
Biden and elevates Vice President Kamala Harris to the top of its ticket without a single vote having been cast for her in that role. In just a matter of hours, the media suddenly turning all of its focus seemingly to Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate. Donald Trump's number two coming under intense criticism for comments he made 3 years ago about, quote, childless cat ladies, because this is what Americans who can't pay their mortgages care about. Senator Vance is here to respond to this controversy, but first we want to start by walking you through how it all began. Take a listen.
I want to take aim at the left, specifically the childless left, because I think the rejection of the American family is perhaps the most pernicious and most evil thing that the left has done in this country. Consider all of the next gen of the Democrat Party.
See, they're doing it again, by the way. It's like you're supposed to just say they don't respect family values and then let people make inferences off of that, which can mean anything. It can mean that they don't like gay people. It's like, oh, they want to trans the children. That's all you need to say. They don't care about family values. That is a message that resonates with normal Americans to a certain degree. When you dive into it and get real fucking nerdy with it, and you start talking about like, yeah, they don't care about family values, which when I say that, I mean like you need to strap up every woman that is capable of carrying a pregnancy to term to a baby incubation machine. All of a sudden, you're losing all those people who are like, whoa, 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 I just meant like family values. I thought we were talking about like fuck gay people, or I thought we were talking about, you know, making sure that America had strong traditional values. Like you literally give the fucking game away It is the exact opposite of the Lee Atwater strategy, the famous Lee Atwater strategy of like, you know, post civil rights movement, you can't say the N-word anymore. So you say welfare queens, right? Like they forgot that you need the dog whistle. And that's partially on Trump because Trump literally took the dog whistles and just turned them into bullhorns. So these guys think they can get away with it, but their instinct is so nerdy that they have to turn this into like some kind of scientific racism, right? That's the problem. They forgot that you just say they don't care about family values. And then Democrats try to interrogate that. And then you go, why are you asking me these questions? I just mean family values. Like you're supposed to stand on it and just like give a wink and a nod. You don't, yeah, McKinsley moment is right. He's talking like a goddamn consultant. We need to eliminate redundancies type shit.
The names are obvious. They're well-known people. Kamala Harris, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's now the Secretary of Transportation, Cory Booker, AOC. Think all these people. They're different. They come from different walks of life, different parts of the country. What is the one thing that unites every single one of them? Not a single one of them has any children. Look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. It is one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children. It's one thing to recognize that there are people who don't have children through no fault or choice of their own. But it's something else to build a political movement invested theoretically in the future of this country when not a single one of them actually has any physical commitment to the future of this country. Kids are the ultimate way that we find healthy people, at least I think, self-meaning in life. We should treat this as a crisis in this country. And we should send the signal to the culture that we are the pro-family party and we're going to back it up with real policy.
Oh, you know what's crazy? I don't know about Megyn Kelly, but you know who has foster children and no children, no biological children of her own? Laura Ingraham. Like, that's how close to the chest this shit is. Okay? There are so many Americans who are foster parents, so many Americans who are step parents, so many Americans who don't have biological children of their own. And this kind of argumentation just weirdly causes people like even Laura Ingraham to catch a stray. This is not Laura Ingraham. This is Megyn Kelly. Okay? Just letting you know, don't mix up your blonde Republican commentators. Okay?
Joining me now, GOP vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance. J.D., Senator, welcome back to the show. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Megyn. Thank you.
So Jesus didn't have kids. Therefore, you are wrong. What were you trying to say?
I guess they're comparing Kamala Harris to Jesus. I don't know. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me, Megyn. But look, I know the media wants to attack me and wants me to back down on this, Megyn. But the simple point that I made is that having children, becoming a father, becoming a mother, I really do think it changes your perspective in a pretty profound way. This is something, of course, we've recognized for hundreds of years in this country, that human civilization has always recognized. But there's a deeper point here, Megyn. It's not a criticism of people who don't have children. I explicitly said in my remarks, despite the fact the media has lied about this, that this is not about criticizing people who, for various reasons, didn't have kids. This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megyn, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megyn?
Yeah, no, this is good narrative, man. Yeah, no, let's talk about a policy issue that was at the forefront of the Republican agenda in fucking 2020, dude. It's 2024, man. Like, being anti-masking in 2024 is a wild position, demonstrating the best possible campaigning strategy here.
And saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which lowers tax rates for parents of young children. It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests.
Yeah, no, that's definitely how you came across as. Also, wait, is he saying he's pro child tax credits? Wait, what?
Has lied about this, that this is not about criticizing people who, for various reasons, didn't have kids. This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megan, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megan, and saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which
Is that even true? Wait, what? That's just a genuine lie, right? Yeah, here it is. Good news. Child tax credit bill is headed to the Senate. While POTUS and I continue to fight for the full expanded child tax credit, this bill should be passed quickly. President Biden is ready to sign it into law. That was in February. Okay? Like, that would be very odd if she is against child tax credits when she's advocated for it. The Harris campaign came out against taxes for Americans with children. Remember this in November? Is this like the new meta? Wait, that's sick. The new meta is just like making shit up. I mean, I'm with it because this means that they are on board with the child tax credit. I mean, it's not the new meta, it's the old meta, but like making stuff up like this, chat, this literally is like saying the Democratic Party just came out with further restrictions on abortion. Like, this is not something you can lie about in this regard. There's so, like, the media will pick this up and immediately be like, this is the dumbest thing that they could have ever said. And it also makes them seem like they're on board with the expansion of child tax credits, which, as far as a policy prescription goes, is a Democratic Party policy that the Republicans voted against. J.D. Vance's attacks on childless Americans is even vile. He called for higher taxes on those without children. This is exactly like the child tax credit. J.D. Vance, actually, you get less money if you're a single parent. Also, Vance opposed the American Rescue Plan, which expanded the child tax credit. Yeah. He voiced support for the Missouri Senator Josh Hawley's 2021 plan to expand the child tax credit, which included a marriage bonus and catered to two-parent single-income households. Millions of working people want to start a family and would like to care for their children at home, but current policies do not respect these preferences, Hawley said when the bill was introduced. All right, let's continue.
Lowers tax rates for parents of young children. It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests. I want to fight for your stake in the country. And that is what this is fundamentally about. The Democrats in the past 5-10 years, Megan, they have become anti-family. It's built into their policy. It's built into the way they talk about parents and children. And it's time that we called that out. I don't think we should back down from it, Megan. I think we should be honest about the problem.
Here's what's crazy. It's not just Senator J.D. Vance, Republican and running mate to Donald Trump, saying that.
That's awesome. He's doubling down on it. That's great, man. He's doubling. He's like, every time I say family values, understand that I think women should be cows that are bred. I need you guys to associate what is like a commonplace Republican position with a policy position that you definitely think is weird and gross. Let's be honest, though. A good policy would be to offer tax incentives to people with kids. Just don't penalize people for not having kids. Wow. If only there was that exact same policy. Maybe like I'm thinking like a child tax credit. I feel like that would gut childhood poverty by half. If only there was a bipartisan tax bill that passed through the House of Representatives that was being held up in the Senate by the Republican Party that did just that.
A couple of excerpts from the New York Times piece by these two authors, Anastasia Berg and Rachel Wiseman. Again, this is a month ago. They write, for progressives, waiting to have children has become a kind of ethical imperative. They go on to say, the success narratives of modern liberal life leave little room for having a family. They say this is not just a recipe for unhappiness. It also reflects a deep confusion. And they go on to write as follows. The question of children ultimately transcends politics. In deciding whether to have them, we confront a philosophical challenge. Is life, however imperfect and however challenging, however fraught with political disagreement and disaster, worth living? So this is not, and I could go on. I mean, the New Yorker piece had the similar point. We've seen it from AOC. We've seen it from the hardcore environmentalists on the left in particular, urging people not to have children because they don't see a future for the country or the world.
Yeah, Megan, and I think it's profoundly weird and dangerous rhetoric. As I think most parents would say professional achievements, whether you're a mom or a dad, all that stuff eventually fades away. The thing that you're most proud of is having kids, what your kids do, the relationship that you have with your family. That is what I think brings the most meaning to life is family, not all these weird little accomplishments and degrees and everything else, right? It's family that really brings the most meaning to our lives. And Megan, this comment that I made was actually motivated in part by a conversation I had with my wife, where she at the time had 2 babies. We hadn't yet had a third, and she was talking about how she felt this incredible professional pressure to not have kids because it set back her professional advancement. And what a weird society that we've set up, where moms who want to work, the thought that a lot of them are having is, I can't have more babies because it's going to be bad for my career. How about we make the workplace more accommodating to working moms and working dads so that we can promote a real culture of life? You started your monologue, Megan, talking about how we have the lowest birth rate and basically in our history in this country. What our young moms and dads are telling us is they don't feel comfortable in this society bringing new life into the world. That is a catastrophic problem. And it's interesting, when I raise this issue about we don't have enough babies, a lot of liberals and a lot of people on the left will say, well, we can just replace American children with immigrants.
That's not what people are saying at all. It's because it's far too costly to have children. People just can't do it because surviving as a single income household is almost impossible. That's number one. And number two, like the child tax credit that the Republican Party, his party, tried to ether, is literally addressing that to a certain degree. What's crazy about this is where Joe Biden and the Democratic Party should be talking about the hypocrisy. Like, this is a gift to the Democrats, okay? Just run this over and over again and be like, this dumbass keeps fucking saying that it's the liberals that want to stop child tax credits. We're running on child tax credits. We have a bill that the Democratic president wants to sign into law that expands child tax credits. We know it's unaffordable to be a parent in this country. We want to fix that fucking problem. And the Republican Party seemingly keeps saying, oh, this will disincentivize workers. That's what the Republicans in the Senate are saying. That's his caucus. Go take it up with them, dumbass. What do you mean? That's what's so crazy about this. And not only that, but also, do you have the time when he called like universal pre-K to be like weird? Oh yeah, here. I found it. He said, he didn't even say it was weird. He said universal childcare is an attack on the working poor. Universal childcare is a massive subsidy to the lifestyle preferences of the affluent over the preferences of the middle and working class. Using a chart from the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia, Wilcox actually raised some interesting points about the effects of separation from parents at a young age on the kid's development. The data he cites from American Compass, a conservative think tank, shows that people without a 4-year degree would prefer a situation where one parent works full-time and one parent provides childcare in the home. That's fair and honestly unsurprising as far as the options available in the survey go. I can see how that one is more appealing to many people, especially people whose low-paying jobs, quite frankly, suck. Except the reality is that if they were to adopt child tax credit expansion and also add universal childcare in general, okay, why the fuck would the working poor say no to that? It's just not an option for them in that fucking poll that he's using. But the first problem here is that Wilcox isn't just arguing against universal daycare. He's also arguing that Americans without a college degree would rather have direct cash assistance from the government or a wage subsidy that boosts their family's income. That's pretty much exactly what the child tax credit expansion in the American Rescue Plan does. Put cash in the pockets of parents directly every month. It's also an idea every Republican in Congress voted against as part of the full bill. President Joe Biden said in his joint address to Congress on Wednesday that he wants to make that expansion permanent. Vance would prefer a plan like the one from Senator Josh Hawley, offers smaller payments under more constrained conditions as far as policies go as a start, but wouldn't aid nearly as many families on a regular basis as Biden's proposed permanent expansion. So if that's off the table, then how about a wage increase for Americans without a college degree? They make up 78% of minimum wage workers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And yet, nope, that's off the table too. Biden's proposal to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, which he touted again Wednesday night, is a non-starter for most Republicans. This is before the Democrats tanked that, by the way. When they tried to attach it to a different bill, the Senate parliamentarian declared it to be a non-starter. And they basically turned around and said, okay, oops, we can't do that. Which is why I was very angry at the Democratic Party at the time, because it was objectively stupid for the Democrats to leave this on the fucking table and not argue on partisan boundaries, but allow the Democratic Party itself to get cooked by bullshit Senate parliamentarian appointed positions. So they don't want to fix the problem is what I mean. Tax credits, to some extent, social safety nets don't raise fertility rates. There are many examples from the EU. The irony of people talking about the increase or the necessity to raise fertility rates, it almost always comes from motherfuckers who will never raise the fertility rate on their own because they're not getting pussy, okay? Worry about your own damn fertility rate, dog. You ain't getting no pussy with this kind of fucking incel attitude, okay? Anyway, ultimately, I don't think the average American is thinking about having children as like increasing the birth rates of white people, okay? Like, I don't think that they're predisposed with that sort of thing. I think they're thinking about it like, you know, they want to have kids. They just want to have kids. That's understandable desire. And it's just simply too unaffordable. Like, childcare is too costly. They don't have enough time. So any kind of improvement on that front will probably open up more venues for people to have kids. That's it. The notion that like people are like, oh no, I have to have children because we need to breed out these immigrants or whatever is not a real issue that like even the most racist white American is thinking about, unless they're like straight up in the Klan or something. Okay. All right, let's continue with JD Vance.
Well, look, there's nothing against immigrants. Obviously, I'm married to the daughter of immigrants. But if your society is not having enough children to replace itself, that is a profoundly dangerous and destabilizing thing. You look across history, that's a real problem. So I just think that we have to say, Megan, having kids is good. Being a parent changes your perspective on the world. That is not a bad thing to stand up for parents. In fact, it's the best thing. If our politics isn't standing up for parents, then what the hell are we doing, Megan?
All right, I'm giving you the New Yorker. Again, this is the first was from the New York Times. Here's the New Yorker, How Liberals Talk About Children by Jay Caspian Kang. This is from June. This is a month ago. And it ends with the following. He talks about how, this person, Jay, talks about how the messaging from leftists around children is all about their economic value, how much they're going to cost, what kind of a burden they're going to be, as opposed to the goodness they bring into the world and our lives.
Oh my God, they're so dumb. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's literally, yes, dude. That is a significant hurdle for average people. That's the whole point. What do you mean? Wow, I can't believe leftists are talking about the material realities that basically make it impossible to have children if you want to have children. Wow.
Lives. And the piece ends as follows. We should talk about them as a universal and immutable good. So that's exactly what you did in those remarks, JD, and I understood it completely. And I think even the left, if they're honest, understand.
Motherfuckers are perma renters with like 8 roommates, okay? Trying to make ends meet and still barely making a bag. When the weekend comes around, maybe you're using like the little bit of disposable income you have to go out and like feel like a human being again. And these guys are out here being like, why don't you just raise your children on good vibes? Does everyone have a Sirius XM contract? How the fuck are Americans gonna make that work? Like, this makes no damn sense. Hey, what's up? I'm gonna have a child and I'm gonna feed that child with good vibes and good vibes only, because it fills my heart with joy to have children, which is precisely why you should you should have a child and then fucking become homeless and then figure it out afterwards. That's probably good. Anyway, that's fire.